Paub. Hello, everyone. My name's Isaac. I'm the marketing officer and box office assistant at the Pontardawe Arts Centre, and welcome to the first episode of PACcast, the podcast of the Pontardawe Arts Centre. And with me is Liz. Liz, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, I'm Lizzie. I manage the marketing and the box office at the Arts Centre. I've been here 12 years. I come to the venue obviously for work, but also in my own time with my family. We're kind of part of the community, really, and we've been meaning to do this podcast for a very long time. So here we go.
Well, yes, before we get into that, though, I'd like to discuss the name, because I really like the name of this podcast. I think you came up with it, right? PACcast?
I can't remember, sorry.
It sure was, but just to let everyone know that is one of my favourite names. Is a really good play on words. But yeah, about the podcast itself, I think we should go into a bit of detail on this. I guess initially we thought it would be a good idea to keep people in the loop with schedules about what's coming up, the ins and outs of the Arts Centre, and I think it was monthly was the initial idea to do it, something like that. So the idea was there for a while, and like you said, it was a long time in the making, before COVID. I don't know if you remember, Liz, but it was a conference, wasn't it? Back in February last year, we attended down in Llanelli, where we got a lot of ideas, inspired us.
Yeah, I think the main thing I think we have to share is so much happens at the Arts Centre. There is so much detail to everything, and from our classes to cinema to live events, even with all the COVID changes, we've been really busy the past year. So while we put out, the social media posts or the emails, or the brochures or the website, anything like that, there's kind of snippets of information, like the behind the scenes stuff that it's always quite kind of nice information that it just doesn't really get covered in another way. So we thought, by covering a podcast, we could introduce new music that we're doing, or any classes, maybe interview some of anyone who's running a workshop, stuff like that that can sometimes get missed, but it's quite entertaining and interesting information. It's really difficult to know where to start, because there's just so much to cover, really.
I think we should say that obviously this is the pilot episode 1, and as we said, we planned to do this last year before everything happened, and it's important to say that we wanted that audio aspect to it, and it looks like we've got a visual opportunity here on for YouTube viewers as well, just to mix it up a bit, make it more accessible, but like I said, to give that insight to sorry, my phone's going, to give that insight to people that we may not reach out to sometimes. I think that's right.
Yeah, I enjoy a podcast. So I know nobody really I think we're all probably sick of talking about COVID, but I think if we rewind maybe back to March last year,
yes,
which is the last time we were able to open the venue to the public, and then back in the summer when restaurants, pubs, almost everything reopened, arts venues remained closed, including us. So today is quite it's a big day for us. It's our first time since last March where we reopened to the public, which is such a relief. It's almost like it feels like that day was never going to come. But here we are. So hooray!
But just to say though, just everyone's aware though, we're not open to the general public, so please don't come out the building. At the moment, just classes, but we'll get into more details later about that. But you did mention last March. I mean, maybe I know we shouldn't talk about COVID too much, but I think it was a very chaotic time, wasn't it? We had a lot of shows being rescheduled or cancelled. things were coming in thick and fast.
I think people thought that, well, originally it was the Westminster announcements. I think people thought we just locked the doors and we all walked away, but it wasn't like that at all. We were left with the biggest jigsaw puzzle. You know, we had thousands of tickets, thousands of pounds that we had to then get back to people.
And I think we had a few staffing issues as well. I mean, I know I was not around for a couple of weeks because of personal issues. So, you know, there was a lot going on. And, you know, as you say, we didn't really have any idea about how long it would be either. You know, at first, you know, I think some of us naively thought it'd be a couple of weeks, but we were initially given a date in June, I think, for reopening.
Yeah.
You remember that? And then it just got delayed. So
I think I worked out that we have, it's about 19 when we shut, we had about 19 separate businesses, people running, you know, their businesses from the venue, from, you know, the cafe to dance classes, theatre schools. So there was that side of things to organise, but then we also had a whole season of live events that had all been scheduled. And then we obviously, some of us joined the whole homeschooling experience. I just remember working really late into the evening, just carefully refunding and returning, you know, hundreds and hundreds of pounds back to people, because we were really aware. We didn't know people's financial situations. We just knew that we had tickets and money for these people for shows that weren't happening. So as quickly as we could, we were trying to get them all that back to people, which it was a mammoth task. It really was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other important thing to mention is the redeployment of a lot of our staff. I don't know if you want to talk more about that, because you yourself were redeployed, right?
Yeah, so that came then in the about April-May time. Our colleague Sophia who does the marketing over in Princess Royal and Margam, she'd been redeployed ahead of me, and the council had drawn up a big list on you know, people to be redeployed, because obviously some roles stayed the same, and then because we were closed, we all got put on the list for new roles. And I think starting a new job in the middle of a pandemic with kids at home, and my husband's emergency service on call from the house, it was bedlam, absolute bedlam. But it was I think for all of us that were redeployed from the Arts Centre, we absolutely tried our very best, but I think it gave us an opportunity to meet new people, different roles, you know, outside of the Arts Centre, different roles in the council, you know, maybe build some bridges and learn different ways of doing things, and then also share with others, you know, the kind of things that we work on. So for me, it was I feel like it was great, a great kind of opportunity and time. It was really difficult, and as I said, as I've been in the Arts Centre for 12 years, I think to be able to do a different job in that time, and still keep contributing, it was a real relief. I mean, the arts sector just lost, thousands of people were losing their jobs. So I think for the fact that Neathcote Talbot Council kept us all working in different ways, I think that was a really real strength.
And I think it's quite important to mention that some of the staff were, I don't know what the official name of it, track and trace, whatever it's called.
TTP. Tax.
Yeah, and such a vital role they did there. And I think at one stage there was just two of us left in the Arts Centre, just kind of keeping the lights on. So, you know, again, a lot of credit goes to you guys for, you know, what you did last year and had to go through. So I thought we'd also talk about something that came up in December, which kind of caught us a bit by surprise, which is Angie. basically the physical embodiment of the art centre, I guess. She retired.
Yeah.
How long? She was been here pretty much from the start. Is that right?
Yeah, I think 20. Gosh, Isaac, you should have asked me this. 21 years. A long.
I would have put you on the spot.
Yeah. But it's difficult to know where to start on this, but I think roughly we have about 64,000 people in the venue most years. Obviously not last year. We didn't have anyone in last year, but Angie's been that key person behind really getting all of those people in regularly, and year on year we steadily build on the year before. But yeah, she's added such a colour and vibrancy to not just the venue, but I think to Pontardawe and the wider area, and the art scene in Wales. She's been behind so many great projects, events. I think she was really key in giving so many people opportunities. I think she's really she'd see people with like artistic kind of capabilities, and she'd really give them a platform to really get going.
Yeah. She's an investor in people, isn't she? Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when she emailed us to say she was retiring, I cried.
Well,
I'm really gonna miss working with Angie.
As I said, it was very sudden, wasn't it? It was, I think in her mind, we don't want to talk on her behalf, but obviously the whole situation with COVID must have played a part in that. And the place is going to be very different without her. It'll go in a different direction, but hopefully we'll continue that legacy she left, really.
Yeah. I think we've all worked with Angie for such a long time that we know her style, and I think she's set us up, really well. But I think just her energy has been really infectious for so many people.
Absolutely.
But December, I mean, thinking back, that was COVID rates in the area were really, really high at that point.
Yep.
And we know all our team, the four of them that were on Track and Trace, that I think they were starting the day on just a massive amount of calls. Yeah, so I think a lot. I mean, I know we're May now, but a lot's happened since.
Yes.
Since,
yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like COVID's really put on pause some kind of retirement too for Angie. So.
Well, let's hope we can do something like that soon.
Yeah, that would be something to look forward to.
Yes, I mean that also ties in really with the information we have about a possible reopening date. We still don't really know, don't we? Unfortunately, I mean things are looking positive. We're in a phased plan right now. As we said, we've got classes coming back into the building starting this week. I'm not sure how much we can say going forward, but we do have certain plans, I guess, to work with certain groups to ensure that we can fully reopen to the general public. I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
I think we're hoping to get cinema up and running in June. We're quite fortunate we've got a resident film club, so I think because they're a membership group, we'll be able to kind of test how the venue's going to work and start that up. But I think we're really worried that there's some people in the community that are quite cautious to start back. Absolutely. And then there's others that are raring to go.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of like how we manage that. But I live in Pontardawe, and I get asked all the time by everyone, like, when are you reopening, and when will this start, when will that start? But they're not really decisions we make. We just wait for that information, and then we work with it. We definitely don't have a hotline to Mark Drakeford to have a chat about it. I think
only.
I think we make that decision, but we don't. We just wait, and then we're tied to capacities and budgets. And at the moment, if we were to put live music on the stage, we'd we wouldn't be able to fit that many in the theatre, and how we cover the costs of the the bands, and yeah, it's just so many different things to think about. But we've not quite got to that stage, but it's very exciting to know that we will.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should briefly go over some of the acts we've got planned in the next
Yeah.
12 to 18 months. I mean, hopefully if we do more episodes of these, we can do them more detail as we get closer.
Yeah.
But as you
It'd
said,
be nice in the future as well. We could do snippets of music coming up, and maybe interview some actors.
I'd love to do some interviews with people.
Yeah.
Excellent. But as you said, I think it's important that if you go on our website, you may notice that some of our shows have reduced capacities, others don't. There's reasons for that. Some of the agents or production companies are happy to wait until they can have full capacity. Some are happy to go ahead. I mean, there's a lot going on. Things change rapidly. Just keep that in mind. But as I said with the schedule, I mean, we've got some. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the names we've got here. Eliza Carthy, I think she's been delayed 3 times now. I mean, I think we were supposed to have her last spring. She was delayed till the autumn, and then to January, and now we have, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have her back this autumn. Dom Jolly will be here. Grace Petrie, which I think is a really fascinating one, political folk singer. I'm ashamed to say myself, I'm into politics, and I haven't heard much of her stuff before, but I'm really looking forward to that.
I don't know we should talk about that just yet, Isaac.
Sorry, say that again.
I don't know. Can we talk politics? It's always a bit of a dodgy one.
I'll go into details, but I think she's worth listening to, no matter what your political persuasion is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then in 2022, I mean, it's a comedy bonanza, really, isn't it? I mean, we've got Gary Delaney and Mark Watson returning, Sean Walsh, who has also been rescheduled. I mean, again, it's difficult to go into so much detail now because we don't know what's going to happen. But I think we should just say that people need to, if you can, please tune into our social media pages and notice board and website to keep on top of these things. But so much coming up.
I mean, we haven't even touched on the kind of artistic content that we've done over lockdown as well. But I think we're finding there's a real fatigue on online events now. That the kids in their classes, I think, well, we're all using the word zoomed out, but we've definitely tried lots of different things over the past year, which we wouldn't really have been able to have done with the live stage people in the theatre scenario. I think my favourite things have been our art gallery around the venue on the outside. We opened that up to just everybody and anybody to send in any kind of art form really that we put up. Instead, we haven't got any cinema events to promote, so we put all these our outdoor gallery up, which I thought was lovely. I find when I go past in the car or walk past, it's really nice. And then we've got the graffiti outside as well. And if anyone hasn't seen it, it's kind of like a rainbow graffiti with mannequins on it, and that was done by our Amplify project for young people aged 11, I think it was 11 to 25-year-olds. And that was the final part of the project. And it's lovely. It's really jazzed up the area, because the art centre could just be a building, but it's not a building. It's got a lot of energy to it. So I think having the artwork on the outside has been really nice.
I think that's one of the most rewarding things from the last year. I mean, I feel like we could do a whole podcast on what we've done in the last year on itself, really, because there is some fascinating stuff that we could really go into detail. That we, I think we learned a lot really about creativity and stuff like that, which we really get the opportunity to do. So that could stand us in good stead going forward.
Yeah, or just things like my daughters are in our resident theatre school with Class Act Theatre School, and they did a lot of their online classes, and they'd regularly have West End performers from like Lion King to Mary Poppins, and one week they did paper finger puppets for theatre, and then other week they were doing like kind of poetry words. dancing, the Mary Poppins dance moves, and it was absolutely fantastic. I think that variety, that I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
um, so I think that kind of variety has been nice, but I think we're all really looking forward to that real live
Yes.
feeling. Yeah.
I mean, that brings me on briefly again. I think we're running out of time a bit here, but this year is our 25th anniversary, and I think it's, all going well. We hope to have something in place for that. We've still got a lot of plans and details to go through. So, it's a big year ahead, really. If everything goes well, then, it can really be an exciting year. So, as I said, I think we're a bit short on time. We've got plenty to talk about still. So, it allows more episodes going forward.
Part of me thinks it'd be nice to talk about the pre-COVID. I think that nostalgia for the Arts Centre and the kind of shows that we've had. I feel like in those kind of darker days of lockdown, I think we were trying to get people to think of like I don't know, if you just think of that, your favourite event or show you've been to in the Arts Centre. I don't know, that always brings us. I'd like to think it would bring a smile to a lot of people's. Just brings smiles really. But last February, I think it was, we had a show, Llyfr Glas Nebo, which is a Welsh language drama, and that will be coming again soon. I hope. I think. But we had a record number of our Welsh language audience members for that, and that was fantastic. I loved that. And then we had like the gospel choir. That was our last ever.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we're hoping to get them back as well. And I just feel quite nostalgic towards those kind of times.
Yeah, I think you remind me actually, because we did ask once we closed down, when we went to lockdown the first time. We did ask people for their memories, and we had such great feedback of the Pontarlier Arts Centre specifically.
Yeah, we had ones from like people getting married there.
Yes.
Birthday parties. Yeah,
just people who memorable shows and stuff like that. And that's really nice to hear that we have that impact on the community. So positive vibes. Hopefully, going ahead, we'll be able to provide more of those. Really. We're here ready and raring to go, aren't we? So. So is there anything else you'd like to touch upon, or are we happy to call it a day there? And, I guess it's a decision on our part how often we can do these. I mean, there's other factors involved, but, in times like this, maybe we've got more time to do it. And then when we reopen, we might not have, the schedule may have to broaden out a bit, but hopefully we can do another episode of this.
Yeah, I think we just get so many. We've got so much to talk about. I could talk too much, but
yes.
Sorry about that. I think it'd be nice to get somebody on to talk next time. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got so a great choice of people. I don't think we should pick anyone just yet, because who do we choose first?
Well, that's the key. Yeah. A lot of thinking to do, but well, I think for now though. That'll do, right? So
and for anyone who listened all the way through, thank you.
Thank you for listening. Next time, and don't forget to check our website, social media pages, notice board. Hwyl fawr.
Diolch yn fawr pawb.